Hello, my name is Murat Kus, and I'm studying sustainable energy systems. And today we will have an interview with Mr. Germanno. Uh, Mr. Germanno, would you like to start introducing yourself and share a background before joining the program because you're an alumni from SES? Yeah,
Yes, exactly. So thanks for the invite.
first.
Basically, I joined SES in 2016, I believe. So it's quite some time ago. Um, and yeah, I come from Brazil. I'm 35 years old now, married, have a dog, and currently I work as a software developer in a company called Fronius. And of course, in Brazil, I graduated in mechanical engineering
Mhm,
bachelor's, and there I mainly work with the design of agricultural machinery parts.
mhm. So how the how like what motivated you to join SES? How it started? How was the idea popped up in
Okay.
your brain?
Yeah, I'll try to summarize a little bit because it's kind of a long story. But I was not actually very happy about my career prospects back in Brazil.
Hmm.
The only thing that I knew at the time was that if I continue doing the same thing, it would be more difficult for me to change my career path, you know? So I needed to do something about it. And agriculture actually never caught really my interest, but it's the main industry in the region that I'm from. So it would, if I try to do something, it would very likely I would end up working direct or indirectly in this area. So my wife, at the time girlfriend, said to me one day, um, "You have some money saved, you know some English, and you have a good academical record. Why don't you try studying abroad?" And at first, I did not pay much attention, but slowly the idea started growing on me. And then after some time, I decided basically to quit my job and start looking for master's programs, right?
Hmm.
So I was sure that the area would be renewable energy. And I didn't know much at the time, but I knew I wanted to learn it. And then during my search, I found the SES program. I exchanged a few emails with the secretariat, and
Hmm.
then with the information, I afterwards applied and went through the interview, and everything afterwards went really well.
Okay. And why you were sure that you want to do you want to have a job in the renewable energy sector?
Because I knew that somehow deep inside me, I'm not saying that this is the truth, but I knew that would be the future, or that should
Hmm.
be the future in my point of view.
Hmm.
So if I wanted to work on something, it should be in that area.
Yeah. So how would you summarize the SES program? It's 2 years. It has been 2 years, right? It had been.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it says that it's 2 years, but sometimes it can take a little bit more time, which is
Hmm.
completely normal. It
Hmm.
really depends on your master thesis. Sometimes it takes you really some time more to find something, or depending on the area you're researching, it just takes some more time, and it's completely fine. So there's
Hmm.
no fixed deadline, and in my case, maybe it took a little bit more than 2 years, but it was
Around two
okay.
years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But basically, I know that the curriculum now has changed significantly compared to when I joined the
Yes.
program. But at the time, we would like study different technologies,
Hmm.
uh, like a little bit of each. And mainly, as I said before, the master thesis would more or less determine your field of expertise. So really depending on the team that you select is where you're gonna need to learn and research more. And maybe this could dictate your future because you're gonna gather a lot of experience in that specific topic, right? But generally, just to say, I really like the FH system. It's different from a conventional university, but one of the things that I like the most is that you have a lot of professionals being your teachers or your tutors during the program. So you really can ask them questions, know how the market is, know what's really going on, and they are really open to answer your questions.
What do you find most interesting or like nice about SES program that during your study you can say this was really nice?
Okay, for me was that it's very hands-on, I would say. So we end up doing a lot of projects. Of course, it takes a lot of time and effort, but I really like the approach of developing projects throughout the semesters in different topics, different subjects.
Yes.
And then I think when you have a hands-on approach, when you have to do things by yourself, it's really when you learn something, right?
I agree with that. Currently, I'm in the second semester, and I have to I should write a report about large scale solar power plants, also hydropower plant, pumped storage hydropower plant, and yeah, small scale PV systems on the rooftop, and we need to write a report. Um, yeah, it's how you say it's. I agree. How did your experience in SES in the program prepare you for the career?
Okay, that's also probably a quite long answer, but I'll try to summarize a bit.
Take as much as
But
time you want. No problem.
yeah, of course, no worries. Basically, during my third to fourth semester, I joined a research project. So basically, that was my internship. That was basically my master thesis, where a colleague and I were supposed to generate some solar forecasts from sky images. So it's basically an image take from the sky, right, upwards.
Yes.
And we decided that she would take the part of creating this forecasting algorithm, and I was going to be responsible for coming up with let's say, chip solution, a chip setup, and then install this setup in different locations, right? So one of the challenges is that it should be portable, right? So that it's just easy to install in a rooftop, for instance. So we figured out that with time that we could connect a fisheye camera, or let's say just a surveillance camera, to a Raspberry Pi, and then write a script to capture these images inside a given window every 30 seconds. So basically, of course, this program would run in the Raspberry Pi, and the Raspberry Pi then is connected to the camera, and then we would try to make this work, right? So we would also try to upload these images, the ones taken from the sky, to the cloud, so that we could have almost instant access to it, and we don't need to go to every single location just to back up the images, right? So in the end, to be able to do such things, I had to learn Linux, of course, and I had to learn how to program, or then I decided to learn Python by myself. So it also took me longer because part of my master thesis was actually learn to program, not only the basics, but let's say a little bit more advanced. And it turned out that this, let's say, decision more or less shaped my future, in the sense that now I work professionally with software. Back then I was writing scripts, but that's more or less the influence it had to my career.
Yeah, that's a nice how to say, changing moment, a kilometer stone, we can say. And you experienced this while writing the thesis, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, in the
a
last
great
semester.
part, yeah, exactly. A great part of my master thesis was learning how to write this script, you know, to take these images. How would I create this setup? How I would send these images? Which technologies should I use? And a funny fact is that one of the locations I was supposed to install this camera was in Fronius. So I
Ah,
actually ended up visiting Fronius before actually working there. So that was really cool.
nice. The next question will be how has your career progressed since you complete the program? You have completed the program.
Yeah, so basically after I completed the program, I worked as a research assistant for the FH, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was let's say 1.5 years project about simulations. And then afterwards, I joined other projects that were going on, also related to simulation and forecast. Um, and then eventually, I was, of course, really happy working there. I also worked as a um, assistant teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, of course, there was a gap where some projects they are waiting to get the funding, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
knew there was some projects in the horizon, but then there was a gap, of course. And basically, of course, I could not just wait until we would get something. So then I had to start looking for other jobs. And luckily, in this process, I was accepted at Fronius, even though I did not have much knowledge in software development. As I said before, I knew how to write some scripts, I knew how to run some programs, but I didn't had really the software development mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But from the experience that I gathered through my master thesis, through these projects that I mentioned before, I think it was enough to convince my former manager that I could be a good choice.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, and what about the projects, internships, or research experiences you were involved during your studies? You said that you had this master thesis, but maybe until that time, during your uh, like learning process, because the program is 2 years, and until the third semester finishing, you learn, and then in the last semester you make an output, which is a thesis project or thesis. So in this 1.5 years, let's focus on that time. Any notable projects, internships, or yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I think one of the projects that I'm most proud of, that at least my team put really a lot of effort,
Mm-hmm.
was the um, large-scale solar power plant project, right? So we're basically supposed in a group of, I believe, 5 people,
Mm-hmm.
we're given a specific location, uh, and not the specific location, but we would have even to select the specific location within that city, let's say, or that region. So we would have to do the site assessment. We would have to design a power plant. We would have to come up with technologies we would use, how we would even design this thing in that location that we selected. So of course, we needed to divide the tasks between us in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, I took the responsibility of doing the design, since I already had some experience in designing in 3D modeling. And I really put a lot of effort on that, really trying to make sure all the PV modules were located properly. They were close enough to their inverters, that we had made a good selection, that we had made good decisions about
Mm-hmm.
the whole design. Even the smallest details we try to put there. We even color the different strings so we could keep track of everything. And yeah, we try to select the optimal angle of the panels, making a shadow analysis, where a panel can create a shadow on the other one. So it was a really, let's say, a really nice project that we took it as a real life project, and it turned out to be a really great experience that I can remember vividly working on it. So it was a really nice
Hmm.
time.
Yes, I would like to add that I am in the process of the same project, and we are doing exactly the same things, even more, because the technology has evolved a lot,
Mhm.
especially the simulation programs like PVist or PVSol or PVCase. And there is a elective course, which is optional course. You don't have to do it. Um, and the FH makes an agreement with one lecturer for solar power plant designing, and that person came and gave us already two lectures and teaching us a program called PVCase, is so making which is making the process of creating, designing, and laying out the modules so easy. You cannot imagine, so easy and so properly. So the technology has changed a lot, and we are using this nice softwares normally, which are so expensive, but for us it is free because we are students of the FA and studying SES.
Yeah, the software
Okay.
would probably have saved me a lot of
Yes.
evenings trying to come up with a
Yes.
setup from scratch. But
Yeah.
it's nice that now you have access to these tools. They are really helpful, and you can, of course, then focus on other topics, other points that
Hmm.
could be more interesting, right?
Yes. I agree. And we are trying to learn as much as possible because after the graduation, I think it is not easy to afford that much, that
Yeah, of
expensive
course.
programs. Yes. Okay. And let's talk about some resources or support from the FH to your um, career or academic goals. Um,
Yeah, so all I can say is that, especially when I was working in this Sky Camera project,
Mhm.
I needed to do the setup by myself. So basically, all the cabling, drilling holes into boxes, so that I could put the power supplies on it, the Raspberry Pi there. So I actually needed to access the labs quite a lot, right?
Mhm.
And for that reason, I was really, or let's say, heavily assisted by the laboratory technicians. That, of course, I was doing the work in the end, but they were always supporting me when I had a question, when I needed a specific tool. Even during some of the installations, they joined us just to make sure everything was fine. So this was really cool
Mhm.
of the university, right? The staff. Also, when I was a student there, the program assistant at the time, Miss Lisa, was always really nice and supportive, um, always really helpful. So she had a huge impact, I would say, my performance there. Um, my master thesis supervisor, Mr. Hula, he was also really nice. He allowed me to freely design solutions for my master thesis. I could decide what to do next, what I judged more important. So it
Mhm.
was really nice that he gave me the freedom to do what I thought was necessary. And it turned out to be a really good thing, right? He allowed me to experiment a lot, and
Mhm.
I'm really happy about this,
Nice.
with this style of working.
Mr.
Uh,
is Mr. is yeah, someone special for the
yeah,
FA,
exactly.
we can say.
Yeah, still these days I'm in touch with him. And yeah, he's an awesome person.
Yes.
And afterwards, also, Mr. Steinbatz, that was the head of studies in that time. He invited me to teach scientific programming to the IT program, even though I had no experience in teaching, but he gave me this opportunity. And for me, it was really great because a bit stressful in the beginning, right? Because you're just insecure about things. But then in the end, it turned out that I liked to teach. I liked having, let's say, connection with the students. And basically, I still teach some semesters, and it's probably due to this opportunity he gave me quite soon, but I really value this.
Yes. You taught us the practice-oriented um, lecture, yes, of wind energy and solar energy in the last semester, in the first semester of our batch. And it was really nice. We used lots of programming at the same time, learning how to um, how to do lots of calculations regarding uh, PV and solar and wind energy. It was really nice.
Yeah, my idea was to try to inspire the students that it's nice to know how to program. Maybe you don't work with this professionally,
Mhm.
but it kind of changes your mindset, how to solve problems, how to see things. And this could really be useful, maybe even writing some automations and things in your future careers, right? So
Yes.
I was really afraid in the beginning about programming. I was really afraid of learning it. But then when you see it, it's really nice in the end. And I try to bring this to the lectures to try also to motivate the students to learn a little bit more.
I agree. I think it is making the process way more easier, and we enjoyed it, we can say.
Yeah, cool.
Yes. About the advices that you can give to the studying, to the students who are studying currently. And then I also want you to give suggestions to the to the students who wants to study this program. Yeah, let's start with
Okay.
the current people. What would you like to say them? Current students. Do you have any suggestions in your mind?
Yeah, the only thing that I can say, like in terms of to the people that are considering joining the program, I can say beforehand that, in my opinion, this is a great course, of course. You learn a lot and you will be challenged, you know. It's how it is. But in that sense, it's very practical. As we said before, there's a lot of projects and exercise throughout the whole program. And it's going to be great because you're going to gain a solid foundation in the topics that are taught to you.
Mhm.
So I would say that's more or less what you would expect uh, from the whole FH SES environment.
Mhm. Yeah, I can add that the large scale power plant, for example, the project, for example, it was randomly chosen. The people were randomly chosen in an international team, and you are trying to make a 20 megawatt capacity uh, power plant in a country which you don't know so much. Um, yeah, there are some people who are from that country, but generally you don't know, and you are trying to discover the legal uh, aspect of making such projects and the feed-in tariff or lots of the small details. So it is really, I think, fruitful.
Yeah, there's like a lot to it. Well, of course, when you're considering joining the program, you can have an idea of it, but you don't know how deep you can go in such topics. And I think here, when you join SES and you start going to the lectures, you
Mhm.
just see how deep those topics can go. Maybe sometimes you don't touch this depth, but you know they exist. And then if you want, you can go deeper on it or on them. And yeah, it's just great because then you know you have a good foundation. And in case you need to specialize yourself in those areas, you have the resources to do so, right?
Yes. And you are free to choose where to, in which direction to specialize. That's really important also.
Exactly.
Yeah. And regarding the current students who are already like studying the SES, this batch, like the last batch that I am also inside, 2023 and also 2022, what would you like to suggest them?
Yeah, I think in this sense, I think more or less the same advice that I would give to the students that are thinking about applying to SES would be more or less very similar to the ones that are currently studying it. At least for me, it was challenging, right? So you would have to expect challenges if you are still not challenged, but I would believe that probably you can say a little bit about it. It is quite challenging, especially coming from, let's say, different systems, right? Because, for instance, my biggest challenge was to try to adapt to the FH standards, right? And basically, I had my way of studying, and it got me through my whole student life, and it served me like quite well, right? With my own method of studying. But here it didn't work pretty well. Somehow my system was not very effective anymore.
What was your system?
And
Could you describe a bit? Maybe we can understand.
yeah, of
Uh,
course. I can, of course, talk more about it. Basically, I had my way of finding shortcuts and more or less studying just
mm,
what I thought was important. So I would really skip some details here and there, focus on some specific topics that I thought they would come in an examination. And that's not really how it works, right? Here you need to have really good understanding of the subjects, and you need to dedicate time to study them. So of course, you need to pay attention to details. You need to have a holistic view of the topic. You need yourself to connect the dots between the different topics that are presented to you. And this just comes with time, right? With time and effort, basically. So as I said, I knew there were no shortcuts. I realized that since in my second or third exam, I noticed that things were just not working. And I would have to do whatever it takes, right? And basically, during this experience, I learned that I needed more time to study, probably more than most of my colleagues. So I realized that, yeah, maybe I'm a little bit slower, and that's fine. It's not a problem. You know, everybody has their own ways, and this is completely fine. So basically, it's also really great that the FH allows you to skip an exam if you don't feel prepared, right?
yes,
And
you
then
can
you can take this exam at another
de-register.
time. Yeah, exactly. So when I realized that, okay, if I don't feel prepared for the first date, I could just take more time, organize myself better, and just then take the second date of that exam. And with that knowledge, I started to, let's say, organize myself a lot better. So probably there are people who can study a day before an exam or a few days before an exam. But I knew I would at least need 2 weeks in advance, right? I would need to
Yes.
program 2 weeks dedicated to that exam, studying every day for it, reading through it, making my notes onto it, you know. So once I realized that, my whole student life changed, right? I started to know myself a little bit better, my limitations, and my need for time to connect the dots, as I said before. And once I realized that, things really worked out. So if my biggest challenge and the way I try to overcome this would be actually my advice to the students that are currently doing SES, that you just need to know yourself a little bit better. And in case you're a person that needs more time, it's completely fine. You can take advantage of the system. And if you don't feel prepared, you can just take it in another time and program your exam schedule a little bit better.
Thank you for giving some insights from the future, our future, let's say. Yeah, and maybe if you want to say something like as a last thing, as a last sentence, maybe at the end, you are free to
Yeah,
say.
okay. Maybe I can say something very short. For me, something that I always say when I have the opportunity, for me, a master's is like a journey of self-discovery, right? It's going to be different for everyone. And for instance, there are people with a fixed mindset, which is not bad, right? But I would suggest you to apply, of course, and if everything goes all right, you try to come with an open mindset, right? With an open mind. You try to learn and try different things and see what you can identify the most, being it programming, project management, wind, solar, hydrogen. And once you get to know yourself better, I believe that things will try to go in the correct direction for you. So people already try to come with this fixed project or this step by step, but I'm more into the other side, try to be a little bit more open, see the opportunities that come, and just see how things are evolving, pay attention to the process, and hopefully everything will turn really well for you.
Nice said. Nice saying. Yes. Thank you again
All right.
for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Uh,
opportunity.
of course. Bye bye.
All right. All the best in your studies. Ciao.
Thank you.